And we welcome Dr. Jerome Swartz from the Africa Restoration Alliance to the studio. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Clarence.
And I think it's kind of serendipitous serendipity that brought you here. Because Walid, our producer, was telling me how he found a very nice poster outside his home, and his granddaughter said, "Who's that?" And it was your face on that poster. Why is it that it needed a serendipitous moment for us to find you? Are you not communicating effectively?
No, I think you saw the poster this morning or yesterday. He sent me a WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so you've been around. You've got a big footprint. I'm surprised you got such a big footprint around the country.
Yes, we do. We do.
Who makes up that footprint? Give us a sense of who an ARA member or supporter is.
Or ARA member. So footprint. I'm glad you.
Is it a play on other? Is it like ARA?
ARA.
ARA.
Yeah, it's a nice play in the word. ARA.
Okay.
ARA. But ARA is a nice.
Tell us who an ARA member is.
An ARA. Well. First of all, I think when we come to SA. Each province, I think we're growing rapidly, very fast, in all the different provinces, and I think we're doing great. I just came from North to West. Absolutely, a lot of new people. People are really fed up with the current system. They're fed up with the current leaders, and we're excited for that. I'm in Limpopo tomorrow, and then Mpumalanga. But Cape Town has probably been the biggest pool thus far, and we're probably expecting about close to 500,000 in Cape Town members and votes in Cape Town. But Northern Cape is doing well, as they've grown so dramatically in this couple of months. So it has been fantastic growth, and it's a robust party. And what makes an ARA member? An ARA member is somebody that wants to see restoration. He wants to see his country restored, dignity restored, and jobs being brought back. So that's really in a nutshell for ARA at this time.
Okay, so restoration, just drill down. Tell us exactly what kind of restoration you will seek to put in place.
Good question. Restoration Alliance. So we are talking about, when you talk about restorative, I don't think that any other political party deals with the same issue. We first had freedom. Now we're looking for fairness. I think the next phase we can look for restoration. Every province has got the original intent. Now this is probably the deeper foundation of the party. Every province has a initial intent. Normally three principles, like if you go to Eastern Cape, that's education. Gauteng was the economy. Northern Cape was really the building of the economies of the world. And Western Cape was really a refreshment center. It was a supplier. It was your care needs and so forth. So when a province loses its original intent, that's when it goes into chaos. It happened in Eastern Cape. It's happening in Durban right now. KZN is known for exports, and the port is being controlled by Filipinos. I mean, that's a shock. I mean, how do you get that right? So you got to bring. We first got to restore the dignity of South Africans. We got to bring jobs back. We got to fix the economy. We got to deal with corrective budgets. There's so much to do. We got to audit this country. We got to set so much things in place to regulate properly.
You're very strong on heritage. And we're such a diverse cosmopolitan city, and indeed very diverse country.
You read our manifesto, I take it. That word heritage, Clarence, you went deep. I'm so surprised. Heritage, when we talk about heritage, we also talk about that you got to be proud of where you come from. So let's use example for Cape Town, not the only example, but Cape Town. A lot of our people are either May or Khoi descent. And a lot of people, we use the term coloured. Coloured was started in 1970 by a guy called George Skitzer.
I never used the word coloured. I didn't get there yet.
I'm just saying. Don't fight with me, Clarence. I don't think people see your big smile on the other side. But
I just thought I heard you say I used the word coloured. I didn't.
No. I said people use the word coloured.
Oh, I see. Okay, got you.
So we use the word coloured, but the word coloured really means a non-entity, a non-person. Marika de Klerk in a book said it's a non-entity. So that word was started in 1970 by the guy called George Skitzer. With the word coloured, the word white, the word black. So if you talk about coloured, if you ask an Englishman what does he speak? He speaks English. He's from England. He also Italian. What does he speak? He speaks Italian. He's from Italy. And you speak also Spanish. What does he speak? He's from Spain. He speaks Spanish. Also colored. What does he speak? Colored. It's not a nationality. It's not a heritage. It's not. So, you know, the sad thing is that we have never learned Khoi in our regional language. There's so much dialects from an aspect, and I think we've been robbed from that heritage. Of course, going back is going to be very difficult, but at least knowing your roots and where you come from, it's very important. So it's a restorative process as well. Let me give you another example. Northwest. You know, Northwest is the old Bophuthatswana. And there's a fight sometimes between two tribes or two groupings where they're asking the old Bophuthatswana to come back. And there's sort of a patriotism towards the old Bophuthatswana. North, where is it now? Limpopo, we got 3 main tribes. And I think that's one of the areas where people really don't clash a lot. So there is a sense of heritage that we need to know about, we need to understand and appreciate.
I'd like to know a little more about Dr. Jerome Swartz.
I knew that was coming.
Who is Dr. Jerome Swartz? Where does he come from? And maybe the political credentials that come with it. And maybe more about the doctorate as well.
I knew that was coming as well. So Jerome Swartz comes from a family growing up in Steenberg. Today a businessman, pastoral work as well.
I see that. Summit Trust.
That's
Jesus celebration.
That's another story.
Okay.
Then doctorates. I got 2 doctorates. One is international. I've done that in Zambia. One in Zambia. One in Washington. So one is a business doctorate, Christian business actually, in fact, in that aspect. And the other one was I done my PhD in comparative, called governance. Governance in the New South Africa and comparative between 2 nations, and I done a study on state-owned entities. So I'm currently doing 2 master's degrees, by the way, at the same time, with something people think it's not possible or illegal. I'm an accountant. I'm a tax professional as well.
I need to show you how to play golf.
And I was into architecture, and I run my own businesses, and we employ a number of people.
Where do you find time for politics?
I think you got to balance your time. I think, you know, my spouse, I got a wonderful spouse, and I think if you got all the elements correct, you can do so much more.
And that's Lucille, is it?
That's Lucille.
And tell her about her role in your life.
Man, she is the support structure. My wife is a very good speaker. We just done, actually, in fact, we done last year, we done 25,000 women at the Newland Stadium, women only during the month of August. No advertisement. And a lot of women, many women came. I mean, that was fantastic.
So it sounds like you got your constituency sorted.
Who
should vote for you?
Everybody.
Because I'm not quite getting an ARA member, not seeing it different to, let's say, a DA member, one ANC member.
You never asked me the question. You never asked me that. So the question is that why vote for ARA?
Yeah.
Why vote for ARA is simply because if you want to see a new move in South Africa, stop voting for the old relics, stop voting for the old parliamentarians. You can have the same thing, you can have the same job losses, you can have the same power cuts, you can have the same failure, state failure, because our parliamentarians, I believe personally, I said this in another interview, they should be fired. We should get rid of them. They're not doing their job. They're not standing up for South Africans. We are putting SA first in everything we do. So if you ask me what is our goal, SA first. We're talking about jobs first. We are talking about we're dealing with crime, the most basic elements. I heard a lot of people talking about a number of things. There's a typical building that collapsed in George, and I was telling your son engineer here, typical example how infrastructures collapse. You know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you had building inspectors all over the show. The collapse of that building, I can tell you from an architectural point of view, the building inspector probably never came around. Somebody just went ahead and put the structures up, and this is what happens in normal fact. We don't have the corrective governance measures, even in the building example. And this issue, I can tell you now, it's going to continue. It's a shock. This is the eye-opener of the deaths that took place, but this is going to continue.
Okay, just a message in from Clive May in North Pine. It reads, Jerome's a bit lost. I'm proudly coloured en ek praat Afrikaans of Engels of Afrilish. And I thank you.
Well, okay, that's an opinion of somebody. I'm talking about the restorative. I think sometimes you want to do, some people embrace colored, some people I would say brown. Probably should use the word brown because And I don't want to get into that cultural thing, and that's a talk for another day. I think it's a long talk. If you understand the history of 1652, you understand the history of 1510, 1410, and so forth, and you understand, and we know there's a mixture of different races and groups, but from an Arab point of view, we are looking at SA first. We are looking at Africa must be restored.
So, just in terms, you've got a national focus. It's very difficult. Are you going to be premier candidate in this particular province?
Yeah, I am at the moment, yes.
Okay, you're premier. So this would be your focus. Are you the leader of ARA as
I'm
well?
the party leader.
Do you have diverse membership within leadership and on the ground?
Complete diverse.
Okay, so people are buying into some kind of universal kind of value.
I think people is buying into the restorative approach. We cannot go on the same way we're going on, you know. You should ask, what's the first thing we're going to do when we come into, if we should take government, or if we should become president tomorrow? First thing, you got to audit South Africa. Second thing, you got to have, our biggest failure is state-owned enterprises. You got to put in a court system, just like CCMA, to govern the state-owned enterprises with a jail sentence to it. For example, Eskom can go on as you want to. SAA can collapse and they can steal money. And then literally they're stealing money. So, but there's no consequences. You have an inquiry from Parliament. Who knows where it goes? It's absolute waste of time, waste of taxpayers' money. So you got to get in a system how to, where state-owned enterprise directors know there are consequences for their faults. So that's the one thing. Second thing is you got to bring jobs in. Let me say this to you. I've got investors. One investor wanted to invest 1.5 billion into the Western Cape, dollars. And he said these words, he said, I will not do it because the DA is in power and the ANC is in power. As quick as the money come in, they either negotiate for a commission under the table or they want money. He says, we cannot do things like it. This is for 6,000 jobs. That's one investor. How many investors are looking towards South Africa?
Good morning, Clarence. Why are we only hearing from our guest now? He has my attention. I'd like to hear more from him. Where can I find out more, please? Desiree, you could check out the website. Where else can people
Website, Facebook, type in ARA, type in Jerome Swartz. Yeah, that's how you get us.
Okay, you say 2 doctorates, and I want to make sure that they are real doctorates.
Yeah, real doctors.
Because we've been fooled by very many people claiming to be doctors who turned out not to be doctors, and they bought their doctorates from a Christian college. And you say you're a Christian businessman, and I want to understand, what is a Christian businessman?
What's a Christian
well,
business?
firstly, let's talk about those 2 doctorates and those 2 masters, not stuff you can buy over the table.
No. Of course, you know. So I've got an honours in accounting, and I'm doing a master's at one of your colleges, Regents College, which I'm not going to say nothing about, but I'm also doing a master's at Salford University, which is, I feel, that international degrees at the moment. If I compare the 2 master's degrees, and I'm busy now for the 3rd one, if I compare it, I think the international level of indication is way up. The international doctorates.
Let's talk about those doctorates, yeah?
Yeah, one is in Christian business philosophy, which is Tico University from Washington, recognized worldwide.
Okay.
And especially in the States.
It's good if you put those institutions up front.
Yeah. SA in this point, I don't know why. We had an issue with Sakwa. Second one, Zambia, Gideon University. I've done a philosophy in business. And that's why I've done the comparative analysis between the 2. What's the name? It was quite tough to get involved there, but yeah.
So let's talk about Christian business. What is that? A different ethical kind of approach to profit? What is Christian business?
It's based on free market. So simply, you make a profit. Well, I wouldn't say pure capitalism, but capitalism as well. And it's just principles, fairness in business. You keep your word when you do business. You make a profit when you do business. You employ people and give them a decent salary. And when I say Christian business, I mean this, that I mean business principles, same business principles, marketing. How do you get out in the market? That sort of thing.
Okay, so just talk to us. Northwest Province is such an interesting province, and so to the Northern Cape. I think those are the 2 that you've mentioned.
Northern Cape at the moment, I tell you, I was a shock. I went to the hotel. Protea, and the big hole is next to Protea. You were most probably there. The big hole. So I had some of the members coming in of ARA coming in, and the one guy said, I don't want to be at this hotel. I say, why not? He said, my father died in this hole next door. He was never reimbursed, never paid his wage worth. And do you know that the Northern Cape built all the world's economies, the British and the Americans, in the 1890s with Cecil John Rhodes? In actual fact, Cecil John Rhodes used the Northern Cape diamonds to get a name into, I forgot the club's name, into this little broederbond in England. So the diamonds were used to build the economy of British. Right now, Britain is successful because of the diamonds in Kimberley. But if you look at the area itself, the so-called brown or colored people or the Khoi people, poverty to the core. I went through some of the oldest areas, Khoi, they call the Ki and the Ku. Khoi people, the oldest. Do you know those people don't have jobs? They're laying in the street.
I got you. We got a bit of a challenge. I want you to look at Northwest and the Basotho and how that broad-based ownership vehicle has also failed the community it was designed to serve.
Yes, it's failed under the rule of ANC. When you look at budgets, I mean, the first time I went in there, this is how you fix Northern Cape. And they really don't have a fight with each other. There's a big tolerance in the Northern Cape. And you got the ANC ruling the Northern Cape with a population probably about 69% which is coloured. You got probably less than 3% that is white, and then black. And you got the ANC ruling. The first thing on the budget that's spoken, I mean, it's ridiculous how people put budgets together. I'm an accountant, and you don't need to be accountant to see this issue. Health is number one. Number two is infrastructure, but the roads is not fixed. The hospitals. Do you know the most expensive mental hospital is found in Northern Cape? It's a shock. So you look at those things. The third thing, a mental hospital. People need jobs. The last thing, that the problem is the economy, is jobs. The last thing on the budget is money, the economy.
Unfortunately, Dr. Jerome Swartz, that is all that we have time for. It is nearly time for news headlines at 11:30. Dr. Jerome Swartz is the Premier candidate then for the Western Cape Province, the Africa Restoration Alliance.